Hi, I'm Peyton. I'm from Texas A&M, Texarkana. A few of my classmates are in this Zoom conference as well. One of the questions that I have for you is, you mentioned that climate change is essentially a sickness on our soul that we caused ourselves, which can cause it to be a pretty daunting and scary topic. How would you recommend that we could bring awareness to the topic and bring awareness to what's going on around us with the population around us without causing fear or panic of the unknown and of the future?
You see, you tell a person, let's heal the climate, let's make the world a better place. You'd be able to probably arouse only a little bit of interest. That's been the experience so far, right? We have held all kinds of awareness campaigns in various countries through various agencies. So much has been written, spoken, but people do not seem to heed. Everybody is caught in his own world, in his personal problems. People have their own desires, ambitions, fears, and families to take care of and a life to live. That's how it's unfolding. So what I'm proposing is, don't tell people to heal the climate. Tell them to heal their conscience, their life, their mind. That's something they would be far more interested in. And if they can take care of their lives, their minds, their thoughts, the climate will be automatically taken care of. You will not need to bother so much about the climate. Because the climate change, I'm asserting, is nothing but a consequence of how we are on the inside. So let's treat the inside. And let's keep the climate agenda a little aside for a while. When I say aside for a while, that does not mean that we neglect it or make it secondary. What I'm saying is, you bring out, first of all, the core cause, the fundamental cause behind the crisis. Secondly, you bring out that which is useful, that which will practically work. A fellow is emitting so much smoke and is burning so much fossil fuel because he is not contented within. Can we display this to him? Can we first of all understand that the entire ecosystem is actually constructed to feast on our sickness and our hollowness and our vulnerabilities. And therefore, one cannot rush to this system if one is feeling unwell inside. If you go to the system that feeds on your sickness, obviously it is not going to heal you, right? The system is not a doctor. The system is a predator. If you are not well, you do not go to a predator. That's exactly the condition the predator has been hoping for. You don't want to be seen in that condition. Not by him, at least. So that's the kind of philosophical confusion that we have. We think of the predator as the doctor. And these things are simple to understand, and they are very interesting because they concern our lives. And when it comes to our lives, we become attentive. No? Look at the quantum of self-help literature inundating the markets. We want to be better. We want to read self-help books, even if they don't help anybody ever. But we want to read all that stuff. No? Somebody comes and tells you, you apply this kind of thing on your face and your skin will glow. And you'll have lots of people who will apply that kind of treatment. And we want to be better, just that. And if we want to be better, let's help you be better. And an indirect consequence of the healing of mankind's mind will be that the climate will get better. We do a lot to destroy the climate. The climate does not just deteriorate on its own. The Earth's atmosphere has acted almost like an infinite sink since millennia. Nothing happened to it. It's actually very, very vast. No? The atmosphere extends for a distance, a radial distance that's larger than the radius of the Earth itself. So you can think of the volume and the mass of the gases that are available to absorb whatever emissions are there. It's just that the emissions have now grown to an extent that the atmosphere is proving inadequate as an infinite sink. So if we can reduce our productive madness a bit. When I say productive, what do I mean? We produce these gases because we want to be productive people. And that's a philosophy that's been taught to us. That your self-esteem, your self-respect, your self-image have to depend on how much you produce, how much you earn, and then how much you consume. That's what you call as a good life. Now we have a life to live and somebody has taught us what the good life is. And that's about it. That closes it. That sums it up. If your fundamental definition of what is meant by the good life is distorted, then you have nothing to be hopeful about, because the very fundamental has gone bad. It's like the foundation of a building being hollow and inadequate. There is no hope left now. So, and there is nobody who does not know within that life is not good, that we are suffering. Look at the incidence of mental illness, for example. Look at the number of people who are visiting psychiatrists and mental health institutions, and there are so many other indices that will tell you of how bad a shape we are in internally. So people know that they are not doing well, but they do not see an alternative. If we could show an alternative, it would sell and work. And I'm not saying just hypothetically. I've tried this out. This is what I'm implementing, actually practically on the ground, implementing every day. And I have results to see. And I don't know, I might be mistaken, but I actually see this as the only hope. Because people are very, very difficult to teach or change if their fundamental concerns are not addressed. We do not, for example, you look at the travesty, even in the sincere climate change discourse, there is very little emphasis on our food choices and how food is one of the principal reasons behind climate change. Nobody wants to talk about it because, food is such an integral part of our life. If you want us to make cosmetic changes, probably we would agree. But nobody wants his core food habits to be challenged. It won't succeed. It won't succeed this way. It's just not going to succeed. If we are unwilling to talk, even talk about the principal reason that leads to the climate crisis, do we really genuinely hope to succeed in tackling this crisis? I don't see hope that way. But if we can demonstrate that it's not about the climate, it's about your life, and life not merely in the material sense. Life not in the sense that if temperatures will rise, then you will feel discomforted. Life not in the sense that if temperatures will rise and you live in a coastal city, you might lose your home and your comforts. No, not in that sense. Life in the internal sense, life in the mental sense. The more you are agitated within, the more you are feverish within. That internal fever is showing up as an increase in external temperature. That external fever is a mirror of the internal fever. That's what we need to show. And then we need to hope that people will be interested in bringing down their internal fever at least.
That was a great answer. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to meet you too.
Thank you.
My final question in closing, what would be some sort of specific examples that you would give everyone in this conference and for us to give to people outside of ways that we can make a difference, even if it's a small difference in our carbon footprint as a country or globally, if we are not major consumers such as yacht owners or millionaires or anything like that? So we don't fly around in an airplane all day, every day. But what are some specific examples of smaller things that we can do that would ultimately make a difference in the long run?
I don't know whether it directly answers what you have said. But one example that comes to me is that you go out and you find people consume, and we said climate change is nothing but the imprint of our tendency to consume a lot. Consumption requires money, and we all have definite amounts of money, limited amounts of money. That money needs to be put to the best use possible. So, can we raise this question? There are things, projects, causes, missions that are in desperate need of money. Why don't you put your money there? And if you put your money there, obviously you will have very little left to consume and just splurge here or there. That won't happen then. A lot of this carbon is not really very fundamental and important and indispensable kind of consumption. It involves a lot of squandering of money. No? You squander money when you do not know the purpose of your life. Is that not obvious? Right? So, how is it that somebody, for example, is, again, I'm saying, splurging money on something that is highly carbon intensive and not putting that money in a worthwhile project? So that's what needs to be asked. That, well, you have this amount, why don't you put it there? Why don't you put it there? And when you put it there, you find that your hopes from this invested money have actually been realized. Even when we go out and just waste money here and there is a certain hope associated with this kind of wastage. The hope is that this spending will make us satisfied. No? So I'm just throwing money, thinking that this will give me satisfaction. put it at the right place. Put it at the right place and then see whether or not you get the satisfaction. You put it at the wrong place, you get a lot of carbon without getting any satisfaction. Put it at the right place, you get satisfaction and very little carbon. So that's one example. There could be several other examples. Okay, a more personal kind of example involving young people. Let's say two young people, a man and a woman, they go out. And what is it that they do when they go out? That tells a lot about the quality of their relationship, no? Now, these two do not know, I'm hypothetically saying, who they are and hence how their relationship should be. Right? But they are attracted to each other as most young people are. So they go out and what are they doing? They are rushing in their car from place to place, spending money here, doing something there, flying from here to there and, emitting carbon. If they could have a real relationship, by which I mean that if they could be real persons, first of all, only then can they have a real relationship. Then they'll have both real love and very little carbon. Because when the relationship is love deficient, then it needs to be carbon intensive, right? You require huge hotels, you require all kinds of orchestrations and ornamentations. You require to move from place to place. You require to own a lot of things, right? So all around you would have people in relationships, out of relationships, in between relationships. Can they be better individuals? If they can be better individuals in relationships, they'll have a smaller carbon imprint. And does that sound like too fantastic? I do not know.
That's great. Thank you.